and the river receded to its summer slack and swelled to winter spate, receded to slack, swelled to spate, receded to slack, swelled to spate 17 times. And the Earl was out otter hunting with his companions along the Tor, a sport that wasn't outlawed until 1981. They've been out since first light. They are hot and thirsty, so they stop at a fisherwoman's cottage to ask for refreshments. And who else but the babe turned fledgling woman who brought out the jug of water. All of the men present, without exception, marvelled at her unearthly beauty. One of the companions nudged the Earl in the ribs. "Come on," he said, "you're good at this. Tell us who's going to be lucky enough to marry that beauty." The Earl called the young woman over. "Tell me, when were you born?" "That I cannot tell you," said the young maid. "I can only tell you what my mother told me, that I'm a gift from the river, and I came some 17 years back." Well, of course, the Earl knew straight away who she was. And without the rest of his companions seeing, he wrote a letter, folded it and gave it to the young woman with the instructions to take it to his brother who lived in Barnstaple, the town on the estuary. Well, neither the young woman or her mother could read or write. Surely this was a letter of introduction. The mother told the young woman to leave immediately, but to break her journey at the inn where her aunt worked, and then continue on the next morning refreshed. And so the girl left, and by the time she got to the inn, it was Dimpsey time, that time between dog and wolf. And in a story, if anybody arrives anywhere at Dimpsey time, you know something significant is about to happen. And it did. As the young girl is sitting down in the communal dining area, eating her fish stew, suddenly a pistol was thrust in her face. A band of robbers had broken into the inn, and they demanded from everybody present to hand over their money and their valuables. Well, the young woman had nothing except the clothes she stood up in and the letter from the Earl, which she handed to the head robber. Now, the head robber wasn't all that he seemed. Within that gruff, macho exterior, there beat a kind heart and whirled an educated mind. He read the letter. "Dear brother, take the bearer of this letter and put her immediately to death. Yours affectionately, the Earl." The robber couldn't quite explain why he did it, but he took a fresh piece of paper and, forging the Earl's signature, wrote the letter anew. "Dear brother, take the bearer of this letter and marry her immediately to my son. Yours affectionately, the Earl." The following morning, the young woman continued on her way and went to the Earl's brother in Barnstaple, where she gave him the letter. The Earl's brother, reading the letter, immediately set about putting it into action, because he knew the Earl was not somebody to cross. Nobody thought about asking the Earl's son whether he wanted to marry this strange young woman, and it certainly never crossed anybody's mind to ask the young woman if she wanted to marry the Earl's son. But the wedding took place. Inevitably, the Earl came calling, and he was outraged to see the very thing he had tried to prevent from happening had happened. The following day, the Earl suggested that they all went for a walk up on the headland. And once there, he said he wanted to have a fatherly talk with his new daughter-in-law. He separated her from the rest of the group and took her to where the cliffs were the highest And there he tried, just as he had done 17 years before, to throw the woman to the waves. But being a child of field and river, she fought back. She straightened her dress, removed the ring and handed it back to the Earl. The Earl took that wedding ring and he cast it where he had been unable to cast her, out into the surging sea. Never let me see your face again unless that ring is on your finger. Breathe in, breathe out.